Tim McIntyre from the Daily Telegraph has all the New South Wales property news. Paul Disalvo and his wife Lucy bought their Vaucluse home in 1992 for about $725. A figure that in the 90s was considered a hefty sum. It was a time where either we were going to do it or not. Mr. Disalvo said, "I think there was a drop in the value of properties and it was either now or never." The couple bought what was then an old yet secure 4-bedroom, single-level, Art Deco-style home from a woman who had been widowed. We saw the view from the front window and thought, it doesn't matter what it looks like, we'll buy it. Mr. and Mrs. Disalvo came to the 13 New South Head Road property with 2 daughters and after settling in, extended their family by one more. Mr. Disalvo said all 3 girls attended Kincoppal Rose Bay, just across the road, and it was not until well after his daughters had moved on that the family chose to renovate the house. It happened all of a sudden. We thought, let's capitalize on this property, and took it from there. Quote, Mr. Disalvo said, prior to rebuilding the home, Mr. Disalvo had split his time between developing properties and working in the restaurant business with his brother. He brought on an architect and builder to create the new home and had initially intended to live in the property once completed. When I first discussed it with architect, I said, look, I just want a 4-bedroom home. Then he came over for a site visit and he kept looking at the view and said, you can't just build a 4-bedroom home. I have to go back and take into account the view. He came back with this really modern-looking building. When I first saw the drawings I thought, what are all these funny angles in the place? I didn't realize until it was built that what those angles did was make sure that wherever you stood in the house you could see the view. Bondi icon could sell for $15. Tiny strips of land selling for $1. While Mr. Disalvo would not disclose how much the build cost, he did acknowledge it had been very expensive. With one daughter married and living out of home and another about to move out, the Disalvos decided the now 5-bedroom, 5-story home was too large for the 3 of them. It's an entertainment house. It has everything you could possibly have. There are a lot of barbecue and entertainment areas, a roof terrace and 270-degree views right throughout the home. He said, the family found it difficult to watch as the original home was knocked down and expect to find it tougher still once it finally sells. It will be hard to say goodbye. We're in 2 minds. We've lived here so long. The house becomes part of you. Quote, Mr. Disalvo said, the property is listed with Ray Waite Paddington's Dean Jarman. While Mr. Jarman said it was too early to provide an official price guide for the home, he is expecting interest north of $10 million. Expressions of interest close September 16 at 12 p.m. Originally published as $720,000 home becomes $10 million. Manzio News.com. Our privacy policy includes important information about our collection, use and disclosure of your personal information, including to provide you with targeted content and advertising based on your online activities. It explains that if you do not provide us with information we have requested from you, we may not be able to provide you with the goods and services you require. It also explains how you can access or seek correction of your personal information, how you can complain about a breach of the Australian privacy principles and how we will deal with a complaint of that nature.